Hello everyone, welcome. This is the untold story of Jasmine Pineda and Matt Brainis. The love that started with promise and ended in prison. When Jasmine Pineda proposed marriage to Matt Brainis directly told her that he could not marry her. This led to a major argument between them. Eventually, they both made a heartbreaking decision. Jasmine Pineda and Matt Brainis officially separated. Later, a hidden truth was revealed. Matt Brainis had been cheating on Jasmine Pineda for the past year. He had deceived her and had secretly been in a romantic relationship with a young woman named Catherine for 1 year. Matt Brainis made her intentions clear. Greater than, I only want to marry Catherine. Many people claim to have seen Matt Brainis several times in different restaurants, but he was not alone. He was with his secret girlfriend, Catherine. The story did not end there. Jasmine Pineda alleged that Matt Brainis had borrowed $350,000 from her. However, he wasted all the borrowed money on online gambling. When Jasmine Pineda asked him to return the money, Matt Brainis denied ever borrowing it. In the end, Jasmine Pineda turned to the court. She filed a lawsuit against Matt Brainis, accusing him of embezzlement and defamation. The court sentenced Matt Brainis to 8 months in prison. Let's start from the beginning. Before the heartbreak, before the lawsuits, before the betrayal, there was love. And for Jasmine Pineda and Matt Brainis, it began in the most unexpected way. Jasmine, the fiery Panamanian beauty with a bold heart and sharp honesty, was already a familiar face to 90-Day Fiance fans. She had lived through emotional storms before. A past filled with broken promises and the constant search for a partner who truly understood her. Matt Brainis entered her life through social media, a quiet, intelligent man from Michigan who claimed to see Jasmine beyond the cameras. He was everything she thought she wanted, stable, mature, and genuine. Their online connection quickly turned into late-night calls and messages that stretched until dawn. For the first time in years, Jasmine believed she had found someone who saw her heart, not her fame. When TLC introduced them on the show, their chemistry was undeniable. Jasmine's fiery passion met Matt's calm logic, a perfect blend of opposites. Fans adored their playful arguments, their cultural clashes, and the laughter that made every episode sparkle. Behind the scenes, though, things weren't always picture perfect. Matt's friends questioned whether Jasmine was too emotional. Jasmine's family worried that Matt wasn't fully transparent about his finances and past relationships. But love, as it often does, silenced every warning. When Matt flew to Panama to meet Jasmine in person for the first time, the world watched two souls collide. Their first meeting was tender, a hug that lasted too long, tears that spoke louder than words, and a promise that they'd make this love last no matter what. They traveled together, exploring the beaches of Bocas del Toro, laughing in local cafes, holding hands under tropical rain. Jasmine posted photos captioned, "Finally, my person." Matt replied with heart emojis and words like forever. But forever came too soon. The more time they spent together, the more cracks began to show. Matt struggled with Jasmine's jealousy. Jasmine fought against Matt's emotional distance. Still, both believed they could fix it. Because in front of the cameras, they looked like the perfect couple. TLC producers called them the unexpected success story. Viewers believed wedding bells were near. No one, not even Jasmine, could imagine that just months later, that same man would reject her proposal, disappear into the arms of another woman, and eventually end up in court. Every fairy tale begins with love, but as Jasmine Pineda would soon learn, not every love story deserves a happy ending. It was supposed to be the happiest day of her life. After months of ups and downs, Jasmine Pineda decided to take control of her destiny. She had planned everything: the outfit, the setting, even the words she would say. She wanted to show Matt Brainis that her love was fearless. The location was a quiet rooftop restaurant overlooking Panama City. Golden lights reflected on the glass towers as the sun dipped below the horizon. A small film crew stood ready, cameras rolling to capture the moment fans had been waiting for. Jasmine's heart was pounding. She had rehearsed her proposal dozens of times in front of the mirror. Every detail mattered: the ring, the speech, the sincerity. When Matt arrived, he looked tired but calm. He didn't know what was coming. They shared a quiet dinner, laughter, wine, and nervous glances. Then Jasmine took a deep breath, stood up, and reached for the small red box in her purse. Greater than Matt, she began softly, "You've changed my life. I've never felt this close to anyone before, and today, I want to take the next step." She got down on one knee. The crowd at nearby tables began to clap. The camera zoomed in as she opened the box, revealing a silver band engraved with both their initials. But instead of smiling, Matt froze. His face tightened. The room went silent. Even the music seemed to stop. "Greater than Jasmine, please, get up," he said under his breath. Her hands shook. "What do you mean?" Matt sighed, looking down at the floor. "Greater than, I can't do this. I can't marry you." The words felt like a blade. Tears welled up in Jasmine's eyes as she whispered, "Why?" But Matt didn't answer, not clearly, not honestly. He muttered something about needing more time and not being ready. To Jasmine, it felt like betrayal. To the audience, it felt like heartbreak. The cameras captured everything: the trembling of her lips, the sound of her crying, the stunned silence from the restaurant guests. That night, social media exploded. Fans were furious. Some blamed Jasmine for moving too fast. Others blamed Matt for humiliating her on television. But no one knew the truth: that Matt's hesitation wasn't about fear. It was about guilt. Because while Jasmine was dreaming of a future together, Matt had already built a secret life with someone else. A life that would soon destroy everything they had built, and everything Jasmine believed in. The night after the failed proposal, the streets of Panama City glimmered with lights, but for Jasmine Pineda, the world had gone dark. Her makeup had smudged from tears, her phone wouldn't stop buzzing, and her mind kept replaying the moment Matt said, "I can't marry you." She sat alone in her apartment, staring at her engagement ring box, the ring she had bought herself, the one that now symbolized rejection. Outside, rain hit the window like soft applause for a performance that had gone terribly wrong. For hours, she refused to speak to anyone. Producers called, friends texted, her sister begged her to come home, but Jasmine stayed silent. The confident, fiery woman the world knew from 90 Day Fiance was gone, replaced by someone broken and confused. Meanwhile, Matt Brainis disappeared from the spotlight. He didn't post on social media, didn't respond to messages, didn't answer producers' calls. TLC executives tried to control the narrative, but fans had already taken over. Clips of the failed proposal flooded TikTok and YouTube. Millions watched Jasmine's trembling voice as she asked, "Why?" And millions more asked the same question online. Greater than, what did she do wrong? Why would Matt reject someone who loved him so deeply? Was it scripted, or was it real? Every theory spread like wildfire. Some claimed Matt got cold feet. Others insisted Jasmine pressured him. But a few observant fans noticed something strange. Just weeks before the proposal, Matt had been spotted dining with a mysterious woman in Chicago. At first, no one thought much of it, until that same woman started appearing in photos on his private accounts. Jasmine didn't see those pictures yet. All she knew was that the man she trusted had turned his back on her, publicly, brutally, and without remorse. 2 days later, she posted a short message on Instagram. Greater than, some stories end before they're meant to, but truth always finds a way. It went viral instantly. Support poured in from fans around the world. Hashtag Team Jasmine trended on social media, while Matt's pages were flooded with angry comments calling him coward, liar, and heartbreaker. For Jasmine, the pain was personal. But for the public, it became a spectacle, a digital storm of heartbreak and curiosity. Yet beneath all the noise, one question lingered, the same one haunting Jasmine every sleepless night. Was Matt hiding something? The answer would come soon. And when it did, it would shock everyone, even the producers who thought they'd seen it all. Long before Jasmine's proposal, long before the cameras captured her heartbreak, Matt Brainis, had already crossed a line he could never return from. It started innocently, or at least that's what he told himself. A message on Instagram from a young woman named Catherine, a 24-year-old art student from Chicago. She admired his role on 90 Day Fiance, calling him honest and real. Matt responded casually at first, polite, reserved, nothing inappropriate. But then the messages became more frequent. Late-night conversations turned into video calls. Catherine listened when he complained about filming stress, about Jasmine's temper, about how misunderstood he felt. In her words, he found comfort. In her attention, he found escape. By the time Jasmine was planning romantic trips and talking about marriage, Matt was living a double life. He told Catherine she was the calm after the storm, the one who truly saw him. To Jasmine, he became distant, distracted during dinners, checking his phone constantly, and disappearing for work meetings that never seemed to end. Friends began to notice. One of Matt's co-workers recalled, greater than, he'd always smile when his phone buzzed, but if you asked about Jasmine, he'd change the subject. When the 90 Day Fiance cameras stopped rolling for a break in filming, Matt took a secret trip to Chicago, supposedly to visit his family. In reality, he spent 4 days with Catherine. Photos later surfaced showing them at a restaurant downtown, her hand resting on his. At the time, no one connected the dots. Catherine knew he was in a relationship, but she believed his story, that things with Jasmine were basically over. Matt had become a master of half-truths. As months passed, his lies deepened. He created a second phone under a different number, used private accounts to message Catherine, and even rented an airman for their secret meetings whenever he traveled. To the world, Matt and Jasmine were still the 90 Day Fiance couple fans rooted for. To Jasmine, he was the man she wanted to marry. But to Catherine, he was already taken by her. The irony? When Jasmine rehearsed her proposal, Matt was still texting Catherine under the table. He told her, "Don't worry, I'll take care of this soon." No one could have imagined what taking care of this truly meant. Because Matt wasn't just cheating, he was preparing to replace Jasmine entirely. For nearly a year, Matt Brainis lived a life built on contradiction, a love triangle hidden in plain sight. By day, he was the supportive boyfriend who appeared beside Jasmine on camera, smiling for fans and pretending everything was perfect. By night, he was whispering to Catherine, promising a future Jasmine could never imagine. It was a dangerous balancing act. Matt carefully timed his messages, deleted call logs, and made excuses for every late-night disappearance. He told Jasmine he was working overtime, but in reality, he was booking hotel rooms under fake names just to spend a few stolen hours with Catherine. To the outside world, he was composed and rational, a man tired of drama. But beneath that calm exterior, Matt was drowning in secrets. Catherine believed him completely. He told her Jasmine was emotionally unstable, that she used him for fame, and that he was just waiting for the right moment to end it. In Catherine's eyes, she wasn't the other woman, she was the woman he truly loved. Matt played his roles flawlessly. When he was with Jasmine, he spoke about commitment. When he was with Catherine, he spoke about freedom. He had mastered the art of deception so completely that even producers couldn't tell what was real anymore. But there were cracks, tiny moments when the truth slipped through. Once, during filming, Jasmine noticed a lipstick mark on his shirt. Matt brushed it off, saying it was from a friendly hug with a coworker. Another time, she saw unfamiliar perfume on his jacket. He blamed airport security checks. She wanted to believe him, because loving him felt easier than suspecting him. Behind the scenes, Matt started moving money, withdrawing large amounts from joint accounts and sending transfers Jasmine didn't understand. He told her he was investing in a new business idea. But the truth was far more reckless: gambling, secret gifts for Catherine, and expensive trips he couldn't explain. Friends began to whisper. One even warned Jasmine, saying, "Greater than, be careful, girl. Something about him doesn't add up." She laughed it off then, believing love could fix anything. But the illusion wouldn't last much longer, because soon, The lies Matt had built so carefully would begin to crumble, and the truth, once revealed, would destroy everything he had left. It began with something small, something most people would overlook. A name. Just a name flashing on Matt's phone one night when he thought Jasmine was asleep. Catherine. Jasmine froze. For a moment, she tried to convince herself that it was innocent. A cousin, a co-worker, maybe a client. But her instincts told her otherwise. And Jasmine Pineda had learned long ago that when your heart whispers, you listen. The next morning, while Matt was in the shower, she did something she never thought she would do. She checked his phone. Her hands trembled as she scrolled through his hidden messages, through deleted chats and private photos restored from the cloud. And there it was, undeniable proof. Messages that began with "Good morning, beautiful." Photos of dinners, hotel rooms, long hugs, and captions that said, "Miss you already." Dates that stretched back almost a full year. Overlapping with the same time, Matt had been telling her, "I love you." Jasmine's breath caught in her throat. She felt sick, betrayed, and humiliated all at once. It was the beginning of Jasmine's rebirth. But behind that strength, she was still holding on to a painful truth. One that had nothing to do with love, and everything to do with money. Because soon, she would reveal the biggest secret of all. Matt Brannis didn't just cheat, he stole. Heartbreak fades with time, but betrayal that costs you everything you own leaves a scar that never heals. After Matt's confession, Jasmine wanted nothing more than to erase him from her life. But just when she thought it couldn't get worse, she discovered a truth that made the pain unbearable. This time, it wasn't about love. It was about money, her money. It started when Jasmine's financial advisor called her one afternoon. He mentioned a series of large withdrawals from her joint business account, transactions authorized under her name, but completed by Matt. At first, she thought it was a mistake. She had never given Matt permission to access those funds. But when the documents arrived, her heart sank. Each withdrawal, each digital signature, matched her handwriting. Except it wasn't hers. It was forged. Jasmine sat in silence, flipping through the pages. The total amount shocked her, $350,000. Her memories started piecing together. Months earlier, Matt had told her he wanted to start a digital investment business. He said it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity and promised that within a year, the returns would triple. Jasmine had believed him. She trusted him completely, even transferred a portion of her savings to help him get started. Now she realized it was all a lie. Digging deeper, Jasmine contacted one of Matt's old friends from Michigan. That's when the final piece of the puzzle fell into place. The friend revealed that Matt had been obsessed with online gambling for years. Sports betting, crypto casinos, poker tournaments, anything that promised quick money. Greater than he's been doing this for a long time, the friend confessed. He gets caught, says he's done, then starts again. The truth hit Jasmine like a storm. Matt hadn't invested a penny in business ventures. He had gambled away every single dollar, including her life savings. Jasmine confronted him over the phone, her voice trembling with rage. "Greater than you stole from me, Matt. You took my future and threw it away." Matt's reply was cold, defensive, and cruel. "Greater than I didn't steal anything. You gave it to me, and you can't prove otherwise." That sentence replayed in her mind for days. The arrogance, the audacity, the lack of guilt. Jasmine's grief turned into fire. For the first time since the breakup, she stopped crying and started fighting. She gathered every bank record, every email, every message. She contacted lawyers, financial investigators, and even the producers of 90 Day Fiance. She wasn't just a scorned woman anymore. She was a survivor preparing for justice. And when she stepped into that courtroom months later, she wasn't walking in as Matt's ex. She was walking in as the woman who was about to expose him to the entire world. The lawsuit against Matt Brannis hit social media like an earthquake. Headlines screamed across entertainment sites. Greater than 90 Day Fiance star Jasmine Pineda accuses ex of stealing $350,000. Matt Brannis under fire for fraud and betrayal. Within hours, fans flooded comment sections with outrage. Some demanded justice. Others couldn't believe that the quiet, composed man they'd seen on TV could commit such a crime. But behind the chaos of public opinion, a different battle had begun. One inside the courtroom. When served with the lawsuit, Matt's reaction was immediate and arrogant. He laughed. He told friends it was a publicity stunt, a desperate attempt by Jasmine to stay relevant. Then he went online. Matt released a statement on his personal social media page. Greater than, I never borrowed a cent from Jasmine. Any money exchanged was a gift, nothing more. These accusations are false, hurtful, and defamatory. The post spread quickly, gaining thousands of likes, mostly from supporters who still believed his calm image. But Jasmine wasn't staying silent anymore. She replied with hard proof, screenshots of transactions, voice notes, and text messages where Matt explicitly asked for money and promised to return it. In one message, he had written, "Greater than baby, just $40,000 more, and I can finish the investment cycle. You'll get it all back next month." Now, the world knew who was lying. When the case went to preliminary hearing, Matt's defense team tried to discredit Jasmine. They painted her as emotional, unstable, and manipulative, claiming she misunderstood the financial arrangements. They even implied that she fabricated evidence for attention. But Jasmine came prepared. Her lawyers presented a timeline of bank records showing the transfers, and digital experts confirmed the forged signatures. She also produced a recorded phone call, one she had saved from months earlier, where Matt admitted he had used part of her money for gambling purposes. That single recording changed everything. The judge's tone shifted. The courtroom fell silent. Matt's confident smirk faded as the reality of his actions unfolded in public view. Still, he refused to admit guilt. He sat stiffly in his chair, whispering to his attorney, shaking his head each time Jasmine's name was mentioned. Even as evidence piled up, he doubled down on his lies. He insisted Jasmine had consented, that she was trying to ruin his reputation, that he was the real victim. But the truth doesn't bend forever. By the end of the second hearing, even the public had started turning against him. The hashtag Justice for Jasmine began trending worldwide. Fans who once supported Matt deleted their comments. Sponsors began pulling away. Matt had built his image on charm and control. But now, he was facing something he couldn't manipulate. The truth. And soon, that truth would take him from the bright lights of reality TV to the cold walls of a prison cell. It was surreal, seeing their names side by side on a court docket instead of a TV screen. Just months earlier, Jasmine Pineda and Matt Brainis had been reality TV's favorite couple, the emotional, fiery Panamanian and the quiet, logical American. Now, they were plaintiff and defendant, facing each other across a courtroom instead of a dinner table. The air inside the courthouse was tense. Fans gathered outside with signs, some supporting Jasmine, others demanding the truth. Reporters filled every seat, cameras ready to catch a single glance or expression that might make headlines. Jasmine arrived in a cream-colored suit, calm, composed, but visibly emotional. Matt entered moments later, escorted by his lawyer, wearing a gray suit and a face that revealed nothing. They didn't look at each other. Too much had been said, too much had been lost. The trial began with opening statements that felt more like theater than law. Jasmine's attorney described Matt as a man who exploited love for personal gain, presenting him as a manipulator who used Jasmine's trust to fund his gambling addiction. Matt's attorney countered by painting Jasmine as vengeful, fame-driven, and emotionally unstable. But when the evidence started rolling in, the narrative shifted. Transaction records showed $350,000 leaving Jasmine's account over a 10-month period. Emails and messages revealed promises of repayment, and even screenshots of Matt bragging about high-stakes wins in online betting groups. Then came the witnesses. A former friend of Matt testified that he had once confessed, "Greater than, if Jasmine finds out about the money, I'm done." Another witness, a hotel employee from Chicago, recognized photos of Matt and Catherine. She confirmed they had checked in together multiple times under different names. As the days passed, the courtroom transformed into a stage of reckoning. Jasmine held her composure, answering questions clearly and calmly. Matt, on the other hand, grew defensive, interrupting, sighing, shaking his head, and glaring at the cameras whenever journalists took photos. The public followed every update obsessively. TLC viewers who had once adored the couple now watched the trial like a tragic sequel, one no one had asked for but couldn't look away from. By week 3, Matt's credibility was falling apart. His lawyer tried to settle privately, but Jasmine refused. She wanted justice, not compromise. During cross-examination, her lawyer asked the question that broke the last thread of his defense. Greater than Mr. Brenes, if Jasmine had not filed this lawsuit, would you have ever paid her back? There was silence. Matt looked down, eyes darting. Finally, he muttered, greater than probably not. The courtroom gasped. That single sentence sealed his fate. It wasn't just about money anymore. It was about betrayal, integrity, and the price of deceit. And soon, the verdict would turn their love story into a legal legend, one that no reality show could ever script. By the time the trial reached its final days, the courtroom had become a war zone of emotions, a place where love, betrayal, and justice collided. Every seat was filled. Journalists lined the walls, scribbling notes, cameras waiting to capture history in real time. This wasn't just another celebrity scandal anymore. It was a story of trust destroyed and truth revealed. Jasmine sat at the plaintiff's table, poised but visibly exhausted. Her eyes told a story that words couldn't. Months of sleepless nights, humiliation, and the weight of a love that turned into a nightmare. Across from her sat Matt, once the man she called her soulmate, now her opponent. He looked pale, worn out, his arrogance replaced by quiet dread. The judge entered, commanding silence. Everyone knew the verdict was close. But before that, the last round of testimonies would decide everything. The first to testify was Jasmine herself. She spoke slowly, her voice trembling yet steady enough to pierce through the courtroom's tension. Greater than, I didn't just lose money, she said, looking directly at the judge.